Welcome back to The Distressed Princess. I'm Rhonda. In today's video, I'm crafting up some sweet Christmas decorations for the kitchen. The things I used to make these decorations all came from Dollar Tree, the Dollar General store, and Walmart, so they're very affordable. So keep watching for some sweet Christmas treats. For some of the DIYs today, you'll need some of this Model Light air dry clay that I got at Walmart. You get this whole big tub for $4.88. And the first thing I wanted to make with this clay is a little Debbie Christmas tree cake. I came up with two Christmas tree shapes, and one is a cookie cutter and one is a vintage Christmas tree tin. So since the tin was bigger, I figured it would make a better Christmas tree cake, but I'm also going to try out the little cookie cutter too. So the first thing you need to do is get out some of the clay, and this is really lightweight, very lightweight air dry clay. This was so much fun to play with. So you roll it out to the thickness that you want your Christmas tree cake to be. And I thought I would use the Christmas tree tin just like a cookie cutter and just cut this right out of the clay. But the problem was my clay was thicker than what the tin was. So my solution was to just press it down as far as it could go and then use a steak knife to cut around the excess edges. And when that was done, I used my fingers to press in the clay like it was the same shape as this tin. Then you can remove the clay from the tin and keep on shaping it to the Christmas tree shape that you want. Now what you really want is some of this fabric paint from the Dollar Tree, and only in the color red. So I didn't have any red. I'm going to have to improvise. I had an empty craft glue bottle that has a precision tip, so I'm just going to put some red paint in this, and that's what I'm going to use. I practiced with my little cookie cutter tree, and I recommend practicing your writing before too, because you never know, if there's going to be an air bubble, so you want to make sure that you have paint all the way down to the tip of the little spout before you begin writing. And here we go on the big Christmas tree cake. Now, I had a few little flaws just because of my improvised red paint writer, but you'll have a better time with the fabric paint if you get it at the Dollar Tree. And when I realized that my paint was starting to run and drip down the sides, I let it be because I thought that looked even more authentic. The next morning, the paint was completely dry and on to the next step. Now there's different things that you could use for the sprinkles. I at first thought I would use some green glass beads in the craft section, but I couldn't find any, so I'm using some actual sugar sprinkles from the dollar store. And yeah, but to protect them from being nibbled on by mice and things, or even little hungry kitties that happen to walk by, I'm gonna seal it with Mod Podge. And here's what you get. For the second DIY, I'm using this large snowflake from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make it a gingerbread snowflake. At first, I went ahead and started drawing on my snowflake with a white paint pen, but I realized that the paint was just getting sucked right up into the material that this snowflake is. So then I decided I better paint it first, and so I mixed up a concoction of brown paint to get a gingerbread color. Then I went back with the white paint pen and drew in my little snowflake designs. Now to make this look like a real baked treat, and I'm going to use real powdered sugar to dust over the snowflake, but I'm going to also seal it so that any animals can't lick the sugar away. So I'm using this acrylic sealer to also be my glue for the powdered sugar, so I sprayed a generous amount. And the most fun part, putting this powdered sugar all over the snowflake just like it was a real cookie. And now I'm sealing in the powdered sugar with the same spray acrylic sealer. And I know I have some other snowflakes over there to the side. We'll get to those. But this is the finishing touch for the big gingerbread snowflake. So now on to the smaller snowflakes, which will be included in this DIY. Now I'm using the Dollar Tree small pack of snowflakes, and I painted up 6 of them. The rest of these steps are the same as with the big snowflake. I just drew on some little gingerbread designs with a white paint pen. And remember to do different designs for all of them because no 2 snowflakes are alike. And then I did the same process with spraying them with the acrylic sealer and then sprinkling them with powdered sugar and then sealing them with the acrylic sealer. The small package of wooden snowflakes come with their own jute string hangers, and so we're going to use them because we're going to hang these snowflakes to our DIY garland. I don't think I mentioned yet, we're making a garland. For the next part of the garland, get back out the Model Light air dry clay, and we're going to make some marshmallows. And this clay makes the best marshmallows because it's so fluffy. So you'll need to roll out a little marble-sized ball. Then to make it a marshmallow shape, just squish in the top and bottom with 2 fingers and roll around the edges with your other 2 fingers, and this will make a mini marshmallow. And you'll also need to make some larger marshmallows, so just make a larger ball. And it's the same process, just squish in the top and bottom and kind of roll out the sides. Then I laid out the pattern for my garland. So altogether I made 4 large marshmallows and 20 small marshmallows, and I only used 5 of my gingerbread snowflakes. Now I'll string it all up using some baker's twine from the Dollar Tree and a yarn needle, and these just string up perfectly. They get a little misshapen on the ends where the needle comes out the other side, so you fix each one of those as you string them on, but it's just really simple and pretty quick. And then I tied the gingerbread snowflakes to the baker's twine in the pattern that I chose, which was 2 mini marshmallows on each side and then a large marshmallow, 2 mini marshmallows, and on and on. For the next DIY, I'm going to try my hand at making a felt Christmas cookie. So I've got 2 pieces of felt here, a light brown and a white, and then I'm going to use this wooden Christmas tree as a template. So that the front and back sides of my tree will be exactly the same, I decided to fold my felt in half and then trace around the tree. Now, I didn't include the star, and I didn't include the stump. And of course, you could do any shape that you wanted to do, but I just chose this Christmas tree. Now then, cut your 2 pieces of brown Christmas tree out of the felt. Next, you'll need a white piece of felt in the same shape, but just a little bit smaller because it's going to be the frosting on the cookie. And to make it smaller, I just cut a little bit on the inside of the lines that I traced, and that way it will go over the Christmas cookie like frosting. And so this is what you should have so far. Now we're going to do my version of a blanket stitch. I say my version because I don't know if it's the correct way, it's just how I do it. So I start in the center, and that way my knot and my little tail is at the back. Oh, and I'm using some brown floss, like embroidery thread, like 2 strands of it. So now that you've got your tail hidden in the middle, then go around the back side and make one stitch. But before you pull the thread all the way through, take it through the loop. And now you can make another stitch. You want to try to keep them spaced the same width apart and the same distance from the edge of the tree. And just the same thing, you go around the back and then through the loop. Now you want to leave a space. Don't close it up yet because you're going to stuff it with just a little bit of stuffing. Then continue on with your stitches and close it up. If you want to make this a hanging ornament, you can use the same thread that you're using for stitching and just make a loop when you get to the top of the tree and just stitch it in place. Now we'll stitch the icing on top of the cookie, and for this I'm using some white thread. And with this stitch, you don't want to go all the way through to the back, just to the middle where the stuffing is. So go down into the stuffing and then come right back up again. And you'll go all the way around the outside of the white felt, and this makes it look really pretty. Now for the sprinkles, and these are glass beads that I'm using for these sprinkles, and I got them at Walmart. For this process, I've got my white thread knotted, and I'm going to go from the inside of the white felt, so my knot and my tail will be hidden. So see how I pull that up and I can kind of tuck that inside, and now that's all hidden. Now I'm ready to add my first bead. Once I have my bead in place, then I'll take my needle back down only until it hits the stuffing. Again, don't go through the back because you'll have stitches on the back side of your cookie. So just bring it through the stuffing and then bring it back up in another location where you want your next bead to go. And when I stitch the bead in place, my needle goes down right beside where the first stitch was, but it comes back up farther away where I want my next bead to go. Then when I had enough sprinkles, I added my thread and cut the tail. For the next DIY, you'll need 2 of these tall glass candles from the Dollar Tree, and you'll put them in a pot of water to melt. Mine simmered on the stove for about an hour and a half before they were completely melted. The next thing you'll need is a nice pretty Christmas mug, and for the mug you'll need it to be a larger one because this is going to be a candle with a candle inside. And this mug came from the Dollar General store. And while you're at the Dollar General store, pick up one of these Christmas tree candles for $1. Now, Sarah over at Chic on the Cheap has made candles like this before with silicone molds from the Dollar Tree, and so she'd make her own ones to go on top of a candle. But you can skip that step by just buying this Christmas tree at the Dollar General. The first thing I did was remove the wick that's already on the Christmas tree candle. Next, you'll need to poke a hole through the center of the Christmas tree candle so that a new wick can come up through the center of it. And I did this by microwaving this candle for just a minute or 2, and then I used my meat thermometer to poke the hole in the center. You'll need to fish out one of the wicks that came in one of the glass candles and use a little dab of hot glue and stick it down to the bottom of the mug. Now pour your melted wax into the mug, and it should be about 2 or 3 inches from the top. And you'll need something like this wooden dowel to keep the wick from sinking down into the wax. I left mine overnight so it was completely hardened, and now we'll move on to adding the Christmas tree candle. Just thread the wick up through the bottom of the Christmas tree and out the top. Now we're going to do the second pouring. I had this much wax left from yesterday, and I'm going to remelt it in the microwave because I've removed the wick. The metal piece isn't in there. It takes a couple of minutes in the microwave, and now I'm going to pour that on top of the wax that's there, making it not even with the Christmas tree, but just kind of making it look like it's sunk down into the candle and it's just made this way. Now you can trim the wick and wait for this wax to dry, and it's finished. For this DIY, I'm using this nice tray that I picked up at the Dollar General store for $5. I'm going to embellish it using some Magnolia designed stencils. Of course, the whole thing isn't going to fit on the tray, so I'm just aiming to get the mug of cocoa on there. I mixed up some brown paint to look as close to hot cocoa as possible, and I'm using my stencil brush, and I'm going to offload a lot of that paint. You want a drier brush is better when you're doing stenciling so you don't have bleed through. And it's also important to use chalk paint. This is chalk paint that I'm using, and I'm just using a swirling motion over the design, and you're going to have a perfect stencil every time. I love this reveal. This is too cute, isn't it? Now here's a look back at all of our Christmas decorations for the kitchen. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you got some great ideas and inspiration. If you'd like to see more Christmas crafting, then click the link that I provided for you right here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.